students, welcome to IMS Gate Academy. I hope I am audible. Can you please confirm, am I audible? Can you see the screen clearly? Okay, am I audible or not, my dear students? Please comment in the comment box, chat box. Now, my dear students, welcome to IMS Gate Academy. Today, I am here to discuss the most important topic, that is permeability. Okay, what do you mean by permeability here? My dear students, permeability is something, a property. Good afternoon, Ravi sir. Am I audible? Good afternoon, Rajit. Am I audible? Everything clear now? Audio, video? Okay. Now, my dear students, we are coming with a concept called permeability. Sir, if the water is flowing in a river, we have to understand how the water is flowing in a river. There can be a water loss due to infiltration. There can be a water loss due to evaporation and all. But let us understand what is the meaning, how the flow of water will happen in soil. That is nothing but probability. That is nothing but permeability. Very good, Rajit. Now, let me tell you the important concepts before moving into the subject. Let me tell you the importance and the silent features of IMS Gate Academy. We at IMS Gate Academy offers 800 plus hours of gate coaching. It includes online gate coaching, offline gate coaching, and it includes also the recorded sessions. And remember, my dear students, we are providing you the self-recorded sessions also with a doubt solving portal and also mentorship sessions. My dear students, we are coming with the subject wise material, exercise book, where in exercise book it contains level 1, level 2, level 3 questions, which includes NIT, MCQs and multiple cell questions. My dear students, we at IMS Gate Academy provides you 34 years of GATE previous year solutions, which contains alternative solutions, which contains key pointers. And my dear students, whenever you are facing any challenges with the question, that difficult levels questions are given with the QR code, where you can go through the video recorded solutions. Apart from this, you have to test yourself at every junction. So we are providing the test series like chapter wise test, subject wise test, advanced subject test, multiple subject test and all India mock test, which will be a replica to the GATE environment. Apart from this, we also provide you the doubt solving portal and one-to-one mentorship. So these are all the silent features of IMS Gate Academy, my dear students. So let us quickly, I don't want to waste your time, and let us go quickly into the concepts. So today here I am here to discuss about the concept called permeability. What do you mean by, sir? Today I am here to discuss about a topic called permeability. Now, my dear students, you will ask me, what do you mean by permeability, sir? See, my dear students, suppose if I have a tank here, if you assume this is a tank, and if you have a pipe here, okay, and this pipe has a wall. Okay, this is a wall. Now, if you open the wall, water will flow. If you close the wall, water will not flow. Similarly, what do you mean by permeability means? It is the property of the soil which allows the passage of flow through it. It is the property of the soil which allows the passage of flow through it. So, my dear students, what do you mean by permeability means? It is the property of the soil. Permeability is nothing but it is the property of soil. Permeability is nothing but it is the property of the soil which allows the it is the property of the soil which allows the passage of flow through it, which allows the passage of flow through it. So this is the definition of permeability. Agree, my dear students? Is this clear, Rajat? Now, see students, when I talk about permeability, we have one is highly permeable and other one we have is low permeable. One is highly permeable and other one we have is low permeable. Okay. Now, my dear students, sir, how do you say simply how can you say that it is highly permeable, Amma? How can you say that a soil is highly permeable? More flow of water, highly permeable. Less flow of water, so less permeable. Now see students, if I take a soil particles here, if the voids are continuous, then if the voids are continuous, the water can flow easily. If the voids are discontinuous, then it is low permeable. So what do you mean by highly permeable is, when the voids are continuous, you can say, my dear students, whenever the voids are continuous, you say that are highly permeable. If the voids are discontinuous, then you say, my dear students, then it is low permeable. Usually, to be more precise, my dear students, for the flow of water to happen, if the size of the void is more, then more water will flow. If the size of the void is less, less water will flow. If you talk about, my dear students, what are highly permeable soils? Gravel and sand are highly permeable soils. Now let me tell you, gravel and sand might have void ratio less, but the size of the void is more. That is the reason in soils you find highly permeable soils as gravel and sand. And if you talk about low permeable soils are nothing but clay and silt. And remember, my dear students, if you consider in IES 2024, Amma, I have observed one question. If you observe, they have asked you what is the range of coefficient of permeability. Okay. So for now, just remember that what do you mean by permeability? Permeability is nothing but the property of the soil which allows the passage of flow through it. A soil is said to be highly permeable if it has continuous voids, and the examples is nothing but gravel and sand, and soil low permeable are nothing but soil which are having discontinuous voids, that is clay and silt. Now before going to coefficient of permeability, now let me tell you, there is a law called Darcy's law. What, sir? There is a law called Darcy's law. What does this Darcy's law states is, one second, student. What does this Darcy's law states? Can you tell me? Here, my dear students, Darcy's law states that velocity is proportional to hydraulic gradient. What, sir? Darcy's law states that velocity is proportional to hydraulic gradient. Now you will ask me, sir, can you please explain me what do you mean by hydraulic gradient? Suppose if a water is flowing from here to here, okay, and remember, my dear students, a water is flowing in a pipe, and here if you find the head as H1, and if you find the head here as H2, and if you consider this as length L, now what will be the hydraulic gradient, my dear students? Hydraulic gradient is defined as I is equal to delta H by L, loss of head per unit length. I is nothing but what, my dear students? It is nothing but delta H by L, that is loss of head per unit length. And here delta H is nothing but the difference in heads. For a flow to occur, there should be some difference in heads. So Darcy's law states that velocity is proportional to hydraulic gradient. Now, my dear students, if you see, head is in units or meter, length units are also in meter. So remember, I doesn't have any units. So suppose if you know in mathematically, if suppose x is proportional to y, what you will write, sir? X is equal to some constant into y, right? While writing the equation. Similarly here, we can write V is equal to I into K. So what is K here? K is nothing but the coefficient of permeability. What is K here, my dear students? K is nothing but the coefficient of permeability. I hope you are clear. There can be a question asked, what are the units of coefficient of permeability? The units of coefficient of permeability is nothing but centimeter per second or meter per second. Why? Because I does not have any units. So coefficient of permeability and velocity units will be same. So let us conclude, what do you mean by Darcy's law? Darcy's law states that velocity is proportional to hydraulic gradient. What do you mean by hydraulic gradient? It is the loss of head per unit length. Hydraulic gradient doesn't have any units. So the coefficient of permeability units will be same as velocity units. Rajat, are you clear? Now, my dear students, actually in IES 2024, Amma, in IES 2024, what they have asked is, if I see here, if I you take KLA, silt, gravel and sand, sorry, clay, silt, sand and gravel. If I take here like this, let me tell you how will be the range of coefficient of permeability. The coefficient of permeability range, if you consider in centimeter per second, coefficient of permeability will be in the range of, see, clay 10 power minus 6, silt 10 power minus 4, sand 10 power minus 2 and gravel will be like this. So for your information students, a soil is said to be highly permeable if it has continuous voids, or you can say size of the voids are more. So based on this data, my dear students, you could able to answer the IES 2024 question. Okay, there was a question, sir, in IES 2024. Based on this data, there was a question. So remember again and again, my dear students, coefficient of permeability is a factor which tells about the flow of water in the soil. Now, let us understand what are the factors affecting permeability. What, sir? Let us understand what are the factors affecting. Students, any kind of doubts, you are always feel free to ask me in the chat box. So here, what are the factors affecting permeability? Now, to understand what are the factors affecting permeability, my dear students, now let me tell you one important equation here. K, what do you mean by K, my dear students? K is nothing but coefficient of permeability. This can be written as D10 square C into E cube upon 1 plus E into gamma W upon mu. Okay. This, if you remember this equation, my dear students, you could have a better advantage on understanding the factors affecting the permeability. So let me tell you, here if I consider D10, what do you mean by D10, sir? People who don't have any idea, let me tell you. D10 is nothing but the effective size. Sir, what do you mean by effective size here is, it is the size of the sieve where 10% of the soil particles are passing. It is the size of the sieve where 10% of the, so whenever they ask you D10, it is effective size means, why? Because at 10% passing, we call that sieve size as effective size. And here C is called as shape constant. C is known as the shape constant. Anyhow, E you might be knowing. E is nothing but void ratio. And mu is nothing but the viscosity. Mu is nothing but what, sir? Mu is nothing but the viscosity. Any doubts until now? So, my dear students, please write down this equation. This equation is very important to understand the factors affecting the permeability. So, the first one, if you see here, if I take effective size here, if I say effective size, I can write like this, my dear students. K is proportional to D10 square. What is K? K is proportional to D10 square. So here you can write that as effective size increases, permeability increases. Here upward arrow is nothing for increase. So they are directly proportional. Agree or not? The second factor we have is shape constant. Now, to understand this shape constant, my dear students, let me give you an example here. Now, see students, if I found here rounded particles here, the water can flow very easily. Now, if you find any angular particles, the voids will not be open. So what the shape constant will tell you is, it says that rounded particles are, because the voids will be continuous in rounded particles. Rounded particles are more permeable. Rounded particles are more permeable compared to angular particles. So you can say here that in rounded particles, the voids will be continuous. In angular particles, the voids will be discontinuous. So here, my dear students, as effective size increases, permeability increases, shape constant, rounded particles are more permeable when compared to the angular particles. Gagan Kumar, good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon. Okay, here what I would like to tell you here is, rounded particles are more permeable in compared to angular particles. Why? Because let me tell you, in rounded particles, the voids will be continuous. So the flow of water will be more. Now, next one we have is the void ratio. This is the most controversy part in this factor, sir. Actually, if you see the student, most of the people will think K is proportional to E cube by 1 plus E. If I say that E is very small, if you take K can be proportional, E1 plus E as E, K can be proportional as E square. So let me tell you what you will think, my dear students, here. If here what you will think is, if the permeability is more, if the void ratio is more, permeability will be much more, you will think. But practically this is absolutely wrong, my dear students. Practically it is a paradox. Practically it's a paradox. Why practically it is a wrong? Now that question you will come. So if you see here, Gagan, what can be the, why it is paradox, let me tell you. Sir, actually what you are telling, gravel is having, let me tell you, just I have told you, gravel is having more permeability when compared to clay. So here is telling more void ratio, more permeability by this equation. But gravel is having less void ratio, but having more permeability. So my dear students, why it is wrong, I will tell you. Gravel have care more than silt, clay. Why? Because the permeability depends upon an important factor called size of the void. More the size of the void, more the flow. It is nowhere related like a void ratio term. It depends upon the size of the voids. You can say this is very important point. If the size of void is more, my dear students, if the size of voids is more, then you can say that the coefficient of permeability is more. Agree, my dear students? Is this clear, sir? Is this clear? Okay. Now see, students, permeability, you can say next one is the viscosity. Now see, students, what do you mean by viscosity here is, see, permeability is inversely proportional to viscosity and directly proportional to temperature, I will tell you. And directly proportional to temperature. Sir, how best I will tell you with an example. Sir, if you pour oil on the ground, it will take more time to scatter, yes or no? If you pour a oil on the ground, it will take more time to scatter. But if you place water on the ground, it will easily flow. So viscosity more, taking more time to flow. So viscosity is more, permeability is less. But how can you reduce the viscosity? If you heat the oil, it loses its viscosity and it can also flow like a water. Are you getting, my dear students? So here what you can say here is permeability increases with permeability increases with increase in temperature. Permeability increases with increase in temperature with a decrease in what, sir? What do you mean by here? What do you mean by here? See, permeability will be going to increase when you heat the means when you do heating. What will happen? Viscosity will reduces. So here I have given you oil and water, how the water will flow. You can say simply permeability increases with increase in temperature with a decrease in viscosity. Okay. Now the next factor we have is degree of saturation. Next one we have is the degree of saturation. Now what do you mean by degree of saturation here? Sir, what is the definition of degree of saturation? What is the definition of degree of saturation? Sir, degree of saturation means if the voids are completely filled with water. If the voids are completely filled with water, then it is called, okay Gagan, then it is called fully saturated soil. If the voids are partially filled with water, then we call partially saturated soil. So definitely more water, more flow, less water, less flow. So based on that, permeability of fully saturated soils have more permeability. Fully saturated soils have more permeability. Fully saturated soils have more permeability. Fully saturated soils have more permeability compared to fully saturated soils have more permeability compared to partially saturated soils. Compared to partially saturated soils, what I would like to tell you is fully saturated soils have more permeable. Why it is having more permeable? Because in fully saturated soils, voids are completely filled with water. Okay, I hope you are clear with the factors. Now let me conclude here, students. The first factor we have is effective size. More the effective size, more the permeability. Next one we have is shape constant. Rounded particles are more permeable when compared to the angular particles. Next we have is the void ratio. More the void ratio, less the permeability. Okay, because permeability depends upon the size of the voids. Next, permeability increases with increase in temperature with a decrease in viscosity. And remember, fully saturated soils will have more permeable when compared to partially saturated soils. Now, my dear students, permeability, if you talk about permeability, permeability is measured by an instrument known as, what sir? It is measured by an instrument known as permeameter. Permeability is measured by an instrument known what sir? It is measured by an instrument known as permeameter. Agree? Now my dear students, what are the different tests we have? Sir, we have n number of tests, but I will discuss the most important tests here because we are in the foundation series. So when I talk about the different tests we have, first one we have is the constant head test. we have different tests to determine permeability. First one we have is the constant head test, and second one we have is the variable head test. First one what we have, sir? Constant head test. And second one what we have, sir? Second one we have is the variable head test. Okay. Now my dear students, let me tell you what do you mean by constant head test. What do you mean by constant head test? In the name itself, see students, very good, Gagan. So in the name itself, it is a constant head. So here in constant head test, head is kept constant. What, sir? In a constant head test, head is kept constant. Okay. Now my dear students, let me tell you. Here what you are maintaining constant, sir? Head is kept constant. So this is suitable for coarse grained soils. Like what are coarse grained soils? Nothing but gravel and sand. Why it is suitable for coarse grained, sir? Sir, if you are it is not suitable for fine grained because soil particles settles after every time. Very good, Gagan. Sir, see, suitable for, what I would like to tell you is constant head test is suitable for coarse grained only. Why? Because if you see fine grained particles at a time t, they will be at here. After time 2, they will be here. So remember my dear students, it is difficult to maintain the head constant in fine grained. That is the reason constant head test is suitable for coarse grained. Okay, it is something like how to maintain the head. Now, you know my dear students, V is equal to I into K, which you have derived from Darcy's law. Okay. Now, what is according to continuity equation? Discharge is equal to area into velocity. Okay. Here, what you can write, my dear students? Here, discharge can be written as Q is equal to A into I into K. Q is equal to A into I into K. So, this is the formula to find out the discharge. I hope you are clear. Agree? So, what do you mean by constant head test, sir? In constant head test, head is kept constant and it is suitable for coarse grained soils. Why it is not suitable for fine grained? Because it is difficult to maintain the head constant in case of fine grained particles. Now, second one we have is the variable head test. Second one what, sir, we have is the variable head test. And variable head test can be also called as falling head test. What, sir? This is also called falling head test. That means in that name itself, the head is going to change. In the name itself, the head is going to change. That is nothing but falling head test. So, my dear students, if you consider here the diagram, this is the soil sample if you assume. Now, if you consider here there is a head H1 and it was fallen to H2 here and it was fallen to head H2 here. Okay. Now, what, sir, suitable for fine grained? Very good. It is suitable for fine grained. Now, see student, a head is initially at a height here and it is falling to height H2 here. Yes or no? Now, see students, let me derive this how it came. If you see here, change in discharge can be written as area into dH by dt. Change in head, right? Because how I have written this? Because Q is equal to A into V. Here small a means area of standard pipe you can write. What, sir? Area of standard pipe. Okay. If you want to find out the small discharge in the pipe, this is how you can write. Now, my dear students, if I do integration, dq is equal to integral dh by dt into a, suppose if I have written. Now, this can be written as q is equal to area into integral dh by dt. Now, my dear students, you know what is q, sir? You know what is q? You know already. AIK integral dh by dt. Okay. Now, see students, initially at height head h1, you can write here a into h by l into k is equal to a into integral dh by dt. Now, this can be modified as al, one second, k is equal to al by, we can write h by l, k into integral 0 to t dt integral h1 to h2 dh by h. After rearranging the terms, the above terms, after rearranging the above terms, it will form like this, sir. Now, see students, if you solve this, you will get a value of k is equal to al by at into ln of h1 by h2. So, this is the formula for variable head test. This is the formula for variable head test. I hope you are clear. What is the formula, sir? Sir, see, based on this, there will be a question asked previously in IIS only, sir. Sir, see, if a head is falling from, this you can write as a question, okay, or a problem. Okay, one second, students, I'll write here like problem. Okay, here what you can write is, if a head is falling from, H1 to H2, if a head is falling from H1 to H2 and H2 to H3 and H2 to H3, and all the parameters are kept constant, and all the parameters are kept constant, and all the parameters are kept constant, then the heads will be in the relation of, then the heads will be in dash relation. Now, actually, it is a multiple choice question, Amma. Let me tell you to have a better idea. Suppose, see, you know K is equal to what, sir? Coefficient of permeability is equal to AL by AT into ln of H1 upon H2. Okay? Sir, I might be fast because I hope that you be knowing basics. Sir, see, here the head is falling from H1 to H2 and then H2 to the head is falling through H3. Okay. Now, what happens here is all parameters are kept constant. So, you can write here AL by AT into ln upon H1 by H2 can be written as AL by AT ln of H2 upon H3. Okay. Is this clear, my dear students? Now, if I cancel everything, you can write here H1 by H2 is equal to H2 upon H3. Or you can write here H2 square is equal to H1 into H3. H2 square is equal to H1 into H3. So now tell me, sir, what it is in which relation? It is nothing but in geometric progression. We can say this is in which relation? Geometric progression. Now, just to have an idea for you students, see, just to give an idea, let me tell you here. Suppose if A, B, C are three numbers, you might be knowing, but still, if you write 2B is equal to A plus C, then we call it as arithmetic progression. And if I write B square is equal to AC, then we write it as geometric progression. And if you write, my dear students, 2 by B is equal to 1 by A plus 1 by C, this is known as harmonic progression. Just to have an idea, I have just given you. Anyhow, you will be studying in aptitude, sir. Okay. Now let us understand permeability in a horizontal flow. What, sir? Permeability in a horizontal flow, or you can say permeability in a horizontal flow, or you can write permeability in parallel flow, you can write. What, sir? Permeability in a horizontal flow, or you can write it as permeability in, sir, I am preparation SSCG. Yeah, if you are preparing for Gagan, if you are preparing for SSCG, whatever I am studying, whatever I am teaching you, you will be getting all the details in the Telegram group. You can join the Telegram group and you can get you can fetch the data from there, whatever the notes, and just try to prepare these notes. Definitely it will help you. Okay. Now here what happens is, suppose just to give an idea, I told you, here there is some difference in heads. Okay. Sir, see, you have a discharge here, Q1, and K1 is the permeability. Here we have Q2, K2. Here it will be Q3, K3. Now, my dear students, if you consider in a parallel flow or a horizontal flow, let me tell you one important thing. In a horizontal flow or in a parallel flow, you might be knowing this also. In a horizontal flow or a parallel flow, okay. See here, my dear students, the discharge will be summation. Q will be equal to sum of the discharge. Sir, here I have taken Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Sir, you can ask me, sir, if it is for 3 layers, I can write it as Q3. But if it is for n layers, Qn, I can write this as how much, sir? Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, so on up to plus Qn. So discharge can be written as sum of the individual discharges. Okay. Now here head loss is constant. H1 is equal to. So these 2 points are very important when you are solving a problem, my dear students. What, sir? In a horizontal flow, you should understand that discharge will be summation. You can understand here that discharge will be summation and you can write that head loss is constant. Why? Because, my dear students, based on this data also you can able to solve some questions. Okay. Is it clear, sir? So in a horizontal flow, this happens. Now let me tell you, my dear students, what is Q? I told you from constant rate test. It is nothing but A into I into K. Yes or no? Now if you see here, Q can be written as A into I into horizontal flow is equal to Q1. Q1 can be written as A1 into I1 K1 plus A2 I2 into K2 plus so on AN into IN into Kn. Okay, this is the one you have to write. Now what you can say here is, see students, here head loss is constant, my dear students. Here what, sir? Head loss is constant. So you can say, if I write here, A can be written as what, sir? A into, or you can write A into H by L into K1, KH. Are you following, my dear students? And here A1 into H1 by L1 into K1 plus A2 into H2 by L2 into K2 plus say on AN HN upon Ln into Kn. Okay. Now my dear students, let me tell you, as I told you already, head loss is constant. And if you see the horizontal flow also in the diagram, the length is same in all the cases, the length of the flow in all the cases. So the length of the flow is also constant. Now we have area. Area, see students, how to find out the area. I'll take this depth as Z1 and I'll take this depth as Z2 and I'll take this depth as Z3 and so on up to we can say Zn depth. Okay. Is this clear, sir? Now we can write this equation as, what is total? Now see student, you can write it as A into KH can be written as A1 K1 plus A2 K2. Are you following, my dear students? Any doubts, please feel free to ask me. A2 K2 plus so on AN Kn. Now see students, if I take here, there are n layers. Now perpendicular to the board, I will take 1. So area means area of a rectangle kind of thing. So here depth is Z1, Z2, so on up to Zn. So I can write it as Z1 plus Z2 plus so on Zn into 1 meter I will take, because area into KH is equal to, you can write here Z1 into 1 into K1 plus Z2 into 1 into K2 plus so on Zn into 1 into Kn. Okay. Now here how to find out KH? KH can be written as Z1 K1 plus Z2 K2 so on plus Zn Kn upon Z1 plus Z2 plus so on Zn. This is the formula to find out the horizontal permeability. Or this, if you write in a mathematical way, you can write here KH is equal to sigma is equal to KH, you can write it as sigma is equal to 1 to n Zi Ki upon sigma is equal to 1 to n Zi. This also can be written. So this is the formula for what, my dear students? This is the formula for horizontal permeability. Okay. So what are the key takeaways in the horizontal permeability? The key takeaways are, the discharge is summation, head loss is constant, and we know from the constant head test Q is equal to AAK, and we have derived the horizontal flow or parallel flow, we can say horizontal permeability. Okay. Similarly, my dear students, we have vertical permeability, or you can say permeability in, sorry, I should not say vertical permeability, permeability in a vertical flow, or you can say perpendicular flow. What's sir? Permeability in a vertical flow when I talk about permeability in a vertical flow, see how the diagram will change. Are you following, my dear students? I'm just drawing, okay. Now the flow is in this direction. Now see students, the flow whatever, the flow will be like this. So here what happens in vertical flow is, in vertical flow, remember my dear students, discharge will be constant. What sir? In vertical flow, discharge will be constant. And here my dear students, head loss will be summation. Sir, I am telling you again and again, in GATE concepts or in any competitive exam, if you know the key points, then you will know able to understand how to apply it. If you don't remember the key points, then it will be difficult. So here discharge will be constant, and here head loss will be summation. Now based on these two conditions, actually see students, I don't want to derive it. Actually what we do is Q is equal to AAK, and again K, A is equal to A into H by L into K. Now from this H is equal to QL by AK. Using these concepts, we will be doing that problem. Okay, H is equal to what sir? QL by AK. Now if you plug in that values, what you will get? KV is equal to what sir? Z1 plus Z2 plus so on up to Zn upon Z1 K1 plus Z2 K2 so on up to plus Zn Kn. Okay. So here this is the formula for vertical permeability, or you can write KV is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n Zi by sigma I is equal to 1 to n Zi K. So this you can write it as coefficient of vertical permeability. And remember my dear students, this will understand, always remember that horizontal permeability, sir this is mathematically proved amma. Always remember that horizontal permeability is greater than vertical permeability. And we also should remember that if you talk about equivalent permeability is given by the formula square root of KH into KV, where KH is nothing but the permeability in a horizontal flow and KV is the permeability in vertical flow. Now let us summarize what we have learnt in the today's session. Now see my dear students, let us summarize what we have learnt here. Okay. Now what do you mean by permeability here? Permeability means you should understand it is a property of permeability. It is nothing but the property of flow. Okay. And remember my dear students, here one point I would like to tell you is permeability is measured by an instrument known as permeameter. Permeability is measured by an instrument known as what, sir? Permeameter. Okay. Next, you should understand that permeability is more for gravel when compared to clay. Okay. So you can remember what are the factors is K is equal to D10 square C into E cube by 1 plus E into gamma W by mu. So let me tell you like this, students. Permeability increases with increase in effective size and increases with a decrease in void ratio because it is proved paradox. So here you can write what is upward arrow, sir? Increase. Here permeability increases with the decrease in viscosity, with an increase in temperature and degree of saturation. More. So you can say here upward arrow is for increase and downward arrow is for decrease. So permeability increases with increase in effective size, with a decrease in void ratio, with a decrease in viscosity, with an increase in temperature and with a increase in degree of saturation. Now we know according to Darcy's law, V is equal to IK, and according to the constant head test, Q is equal to AIK, and according to variable head test, K is equal to AL by AT into Ln upon H1 by H2. And remember what is capital M and capital A and capital L are area of the soil sample and length of soil sample, whereas small a is the area of standard pipe or standard permeameter. Now you know horizontal permeability KH is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to N Zi Ka upon sigma I is equal to 1 to N Zi. And if you see here Kb, vertical permeability is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to N Zi upon sigma I is equal to 1 to N Zi Ki. So these are the formulas for horizontal permeability, and this is the formula for what, sir? You can say variable head test. This is the formula for variable head test, and this is the formula for constant head test. That is the formula for what, sir? Constant head test, and this is the formula for variable head test. I hope you are clear with these concepts. Okay. Now my dear students, any queries related to this you can ask me. Okay. Now see students, what we do at IMS GATE Academy is we provide 800 plus hours of GATE classroom coaching. We are providing offline GATE coaching at Bangalore Jayanagar Center and at Malleshwaram, and also we are providing the offline GATE coaching at Vijayawada. We have online also, and we also give you the self-recorded sessions also. We provide a subject-wise material, exercise book which contains level 1, level 2, level 3 questions. In this level 1, level 2, level 3 questions, we include MSQs, multiple select questions, multiple choice questions and NIT questions. Apart from this, my dear students, we are providing a beautiful book which covers GATE, which covers 34 plus years of GATE questions, that is known as GATE question booklet. And in this booklet, we are providing you the alternative solutions, we are providing the key pointers. Apart from this, we are giving you the video recorded solutions for a particular difficult level problems. And remember, my dear students, we at IMS GATE Academy, the key success is the one-to-one mentorship. We guide them the entire year, and we also provide them doubt solving portal. Wherever the doubts are posted, the doubts will be resolved in 24 hours of time. And with the help of mentorship sessions, we understand the student's strength and weakness, and we identify their weakness and how this weakness can be converted into strength. And my dear students, you have to test yourself at every junction. So we are providing the test series, 130 plus tests, which includes chapter tests, subject wise tests, and we also includes multiple subject tests, advanced level test, and also we provide you the all India mock test, which will be the replica of the GATE. Sir, explanation is best. Thank you, Gagan. So if you are interested, definitely you can join the Telegram group, and I will give you the respective notes. What means our people will be sharing you the respective notes. So this is all we do at IMS GATE Academy, Amma. I hope these sessions are clear for you. If you really like this session, please like, share and subscribe the channel. And all the best for Gagan also. Thank you. See you in the tomorrow's session.